Hello, everybody. I am Tim Schafer. I was the project leader on Full Throttle, and welcome to this exciting commentary.
I'm Larry Ahern, and I was lead animator.
I'm Casey Ackley. I was production manager.
I'm Stephen Shaw, and I was the lead programmer.
I'm Peter McConnell, and I was the composer.
And I'm Clint Bajakian, and lead sound designer.
Is there a reason you're not doing it like Drunk History?
Would you like a drink? Because we have
Wouldn't
some.
that be funny? No, not right now. I think we come up with a lot more stories.
Yeah, we'll do that for our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Drunk Game Commentary. All right, you guys.
Asphalt and trouble.
Rip Burger, you're dumber than dirt. Mr. Corley, if you'd only listen.
So this is our dramatic intro to the game. We want to be super cinematic, and it has the fabulous voice of Roy Conrad, the late great Roy Conrad. And now we're getting into our celebrity voiceover. Anyone know who the celebrity is?
Yes.
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill as Rip Burger, super evil.
He does a great job.
He's amazing.
He sure does.
We knew a little bit that he would do a great job, not just from the Star Wars stuff, but he was already the Joker at this time. He's already the Joker in the animated TV series.
Wow.
So who was Corley?
Malcolm Corley was Hamilton Camp. Hamilton Camp, who's also passed away, unfortunately. There's my what?
Oh, yeah, you got to go back to that. It's Little Gold Tim.
Little gold Tim butt.
Oh yeah,
Oh, there'll be a glory shot of that later.
that was a Charlie Ramos.
I remember Peter McConnell making fun of me for the destabilizing inner ear condition line. Here goes Ben Throw. Now this is. Are we using the Rebel Assault engine yet? Oh wait, my nude scene's coming up. Everybody, cover your eyes. Nobody look.
There it is.
Oh, there it is, right.
The only
Decent
difference.
exposure.
Yeah, you're welcome, everybody, for that. And some great Gone Jackals music comes in here. This is still an introduction that I love to watch because it was really different than Day of the Tentacle, which was our last game, where we had a lot of trouble just getting the founding fathers to animate as they jumped out the window when you chopped down when you scared them out of the Constitutional Congress. Moving that many pixels on the screen was impossible, but this time we were using the Rebel Assault engine, which was called Slush. And Steve, how did
Insane engine?
Wait, now what? Okay,
Right,
you tell us what's going on
The
here.
Insane engine. It was the Insane engine. Slush was the tool that you created the Insane
Okay.
streams with.
So this came about because of the advent of CD-ROMs, which had basically infinite storage compared to what we're used to on the 3.5-inch. Look at these amazing credits. There comes Steve's.
Glory shot.
Yeah, nice. Of course.
Try getting these today in Call of Duty or what have you.
What, opening credits?
Yeah.
I love opening credits. I guess I feel like they just set the mood,
Yeah.
and they Brian Rich. They set the mood and they make you feel like you're going to see something awesome and epic.
Absolutely.
So you get to hear all this awesome music.
Live band.
So CD-ROMs came out, and Myst was a big hit, and then Lucas made Rebel Assault, which was like took 3D rendered trenches, and you could fight TIE fighters in these trenches, right?
Right.
And then we're like, we'll take that.
Yeah, Vince came up with the streaming engine and it did really well, and he kept doing improvements on it for Rebel Assault 1, Rebel Assault 2, et cetera, and this got put into here, and
Yeah, it was mind-boggling at the time because he's like, look, I'm gonna do this thing. It's gonna store the data for one frame, and then the next frame, it's not gonna have the whole frame. It's only gonna have the data that changed. And we're like, what? That's a compression idea that has never been. That's crazy. So it allowed us to like do full screen animation. And I'm sorry about telling this story, but we were talking about making a movie of this with MTV. Do you remember that? MTV wanted to put this on liquid television, and and I was in MTV in New York, and I was talking to a guy about it, and he was saying that he was playing this intro to the game, and that Mike Judge had walked by. Mike Judge was doing Beavis and Butthead at the time, and he walked by and he stopped and he walked back in. He listened. He's like, "Did that guy just say, whenever I smell asshole, I think of mine?" And that's what I think of whenever I hear that line, and I had to tell that story. We probably can't use that story in the commentary, though. Now you know.
Sure you can.
Look like an escort service to you. You would.
I remember the dumbest things, like the back of the bar where the dumpster is. I just remember telling Peter Chan to get rid of the ladder. Like he had a ladder there that went up onto the roof, and that was part of the learning. Like you can't put interesting things in adventure games because like the player's going to want to go up that ladder and climb up there, and so he had to paint it out. He was so mad about that. But and I think of this room where we started talking about how do we do a game that's stylized. Do you remember this, Larry? Like stylized, like but not a cartoon for kids. Because we didn't want to go quote unquote realistic, but we wanted to do something that was more adult. And remember, you guys talked a lot about Mike Mignola and
we're looking at Hellboy
and how things disappeared into the blackness a lot. And so you can see in the bar, there's a lot up in the TV and the pipes and stuff. It just kind of disappears into nothingness.
So here, there's a puzzle where you kick open the door after this cutscene, right? You kick open the door.
Kick open the door was just like a kind of a character setting thing for us. We're like, we always talked about how, Bernard Bernoulli and Day of the Tentacle, if he had to like get through a locked door and all he had was a bologna sandwich, that he would figure out a way of like putting the mayonnaise on the floor and sliding the bread under and then taking the toothpick and poking the key through the hole and dropping it and then pulling, and then Ben Throttle would just eat the sandwich and kick the door down. And that was like how we were like expressing character through puzzle design in these games.
Which is why this game is 2 hours long.
It's why it's a little shorter.
I fixed your door. It was sticky.
Look, I don't want no trouble. Just leave me out of this mess.
And there's the bartender's name is Quahog. I don't know if that comes up ever in the game, but his name is always Quahog, which is like from Moby Dick. It's how Queequeg misspells his own name when he signs into the log of the ship.
Whenever I would do a search on it, I would always get Queequeg. I'm like, is that supposed to be? Because I remember you saying it was related to that. And then working with the animation team trying to do the high-res versions of all these characters, every time I got an email about it, it was spelled differently.
Yeah.
It's Quoog. It's Queeg.
Oh man, dream sequence.
I remember this scene was literally tossed together in about an hour. We need something in here after the wreck.
You mean lovingly crafted?
Lovingly, yes.
in an hour.
Sorry, is that what's supposed to be on the commentary about how much effort was put into these? A lot of it was we had such a tiny team and we're going, the whole thing will be fully animated. It'll be crazy.
Watching this, I'm realizing like after Day of the Tentacle, where we had just 3 full-screen animations in the whole game, like what did we sit down and say like, hey, this next game is going to be crazy? And we're going to have all these full-screen animations the entire time.
Yeah, we said it was going to be a completely cinematic thing. Everything, there's going to be scenes.
I don't remember realizing what we were taking on in the beginning.
No, we had no
idea. Which is probably the special talent I have that lets me do with these games, which is to not think about what this is going to entail.
Because we would basically plan out the scene, and about the only thing I remember doing to try to keep it reasonable was saying, if we edit enough, no one shot will have that much animation in it. Just as the animation's getting complicated, cut to another angle, But still, the scene was going to last X amount of frames long. It's like somewhere in there, you're going to have to animate something. So we just did a lot of fast-cutting MTV-style stuff, and we kept saying, well, if you cut to a close-up of the face, then not much is moving.
If you do a master shot and you have a bunch of people doing stuff in it, that would take forever to animate. People picking up objects, putting them down, lip-syncing. But if you cut to just someone's eyes moving slightly, it's more dramatic, and it is less.
Yeah, so it was always like, the guy that's swinging the wrench at the thing that's going to blow up, you'd get him to start to move, and then you'd show the reaction of the guy being surprised. And then you hear boom, and then you cut back in the little wispus mode.
Maureen got her name. Originally, the story had 2 twins that were the twin daughters of Malcolm Corley, and they're named Maureen and Tina after these 2 girls who lived in the dorm with me in college. And then we cut Tina. So, sorry, Tina. Chan does a lot of designs where you can see, like, the story of the town is that it's sunk. There's obviously a building that was here before, and it just sunk, and they're just like, screw it, let's build another house on top of it. And they just build another one. Like a lot of he does a lot of double houses. There's some of that in Psychonauts, like roofs upon roofs.
Smart.
And this is a pretty ambitious game. Like I feel like on every level we were just like...
It's a long conversation.
We got in way over.
Well, now, does anyone remember?
Well, I mean, I think we were thinking about things like... for me, I was thinking about Road Warrior and Yojimbo. Because Road Warrior, just love the way it's just dramatic, gritty story being told, like an opera almost. And then Yojimbo is just the stoic hero. You've seen Yojimbo with the Toshiro Mifune is like this really stoic main character who's not like a big tough guy who really shows off a lot, but he's really quiet until he goes and then he goes and kills 20 samurai, just really quickly. And Ben was really inspired by him. And then I got the screenplay for The Road Warrior somewhere, and in the first shot of it, Mad Max, like, he gets to a fork in the road, he doesn't know where to drive to, and he pulls over and he finds a wreck of a car and he takes a bumper off of it and he throws it in the air, wherever the bumper lands, he drives off that way, which is exactly how Yojimbo starts, with him doing it with a stick. I was like, I knew it. I knew this is all one big part of this generalized lone hero thing going on.
We were looking at Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name stuff too. Everybody squints like Clint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, easier to animate, right?
Yeah,
They squint.
exactly.
Yeah.
Either someone's doing some welding down there, or we're talking about some very subcode wiring.
I have an electrician friend who yelled at me for using the term subcode wiring. He's like, that's not something electricians would ever say.
So
like,
we lost a lot of electrician
Yeah, we
fans.
lost, yeah. But, Ben's not an electrician. What are you going to say?
This is the first scene that you hear the Chitlins Whiskey and Skirt song.
Yeah. That's my favorite song.
Increased chances. Yeah. Well, it's the great John Spiegel of Chicago, friend of ours.
It creates a narrative problem in the game, though, which is that
Post-apocalyptic.
we always like, this is not a post-apocalyptic game. This is just an alternate reality, like an alternate world. Like, there's been no nuclear devastation. This is just a gritty, highway-based part of the country, and in the future. And but a lot of people thought it was like, because it is inspired by Road Warrior a lot in terms of its cinematics and the way it tells the story. But there's nothing post-apocalyptic about it. But that song is all about nuclear, like it's a post-apocalyptic song. And so it kind of feeds into that. So
It's good to create false rumors, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. Remember this was one of our big things, was changing the interface so we get a full screen game this time around, as opposed to Day of the Tentacle, where you had to look up and down. But in this game, we wanted there's a theory that like you should have the interface where people's eyeballs are, and their eyeballs on the cursor, so to speak, the interface pop up on the cursor. And I remember that I hadn't seen that a lot. I think at the same time, you guys over at Lucas Learning were doing, remember the secret project? The secret library archive project? There was you guys were doing one where the interface popped up near the cursor?
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that was cutting edge, you guys. Cutting edge cursors.
This is the first scene we did.
I always thought
This is the first thing we ever wired up in the game?
Yeah, we did this one specifically for, was it CES or whatever else, and we had to get it done, and we had just the assets for this.
That cracks me up that we made like a 2-room puzzle for CES. Did we do a special version of Ben? Because like he's all darkly
black.
lit. We didn't have dynamic lighting back then, did we? Right?
No.
Like nowadays, we'd be painted with a certain color that we would like tune up and down. But here, we must have painted a whole other 3D we had in this game.
my God.
Was that the
And another
CES, Tim, where we had that guy on the motorcycle out in front of the booth?
I don't remember.
Pretending to be Ben Throttle.
Right.
I didn't remember. Did we have a booth babe, dude?
We had a booth dude, and like all us ladies were swooning.
I just remember looking at the pictures thinking, that guy
He was
looks
a hunky Ben.
We all wanted to go take a picture with him. Yeah.
looks nothing
Did
like
I even
someone
get to
from
go to that
Full Throttle World.
CES?
I don't know.
I don't remember seeing any of this. Tell me about it.
Well, it was just a little, booth in the back, but then there was a guy with a motorcycle right out front, and he was totally drawing people in.
Maureen is the Kath Soucie does the voice. She does a lot of cartoons. You look at the credits for almost any cartoon you're watching, Kath Soucie will show up. She does a great job with Maureen's voice, and she came back later on Brutal Legend and did Lita Halford. There's my car, my actual car.
There.
So
That's the Tim Mobile?
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have that car?
it's in a garage in Reading because I was driving. I bought the car for my dad, which was his '69 Le Mans, which is it looks like a GTO. It's a really fun car to have. And then I go at lunch one day with a bunch of LucasArts coworkers in it. Someone before I started it, someone was like, "Do you smell gas?" And I was like, "No, you're silly." And I started it, and then boom.
That was me and Michelle Harrell.
Yeah, and you remember like black smoke came out of the
and
defroster
we
vents.
just it's
and
a
it was
convertible.
Yeah, we had John. I was like, get out of the car!
Jump
We
out.
jumped out, and I run to this jewelry store to use 911. And secretly, I've been wanting to call 911 all my life, right? Like you just be like, oh, someday I'm gonna. So I call it,
And they're like, "You're at the jewelry store. Is it a robbery? What's going on?"
and I ran back to the car, and there was a pool of fire underneath the car. And there were already fire people there, like firefighters there, because I was across the street from the fire department. I could have just run. I could have run to the fire department to bring them over. And anyway, they put out the fire, and then it was really bad. There's bubbles embedded in the windshield from just the heat. Jeez. And you guys you guys go back to the office. So you guys went back to the office while I hung around with the tow truck. And you told Peter Chan what had happened. And so Peter Chan happened to be painting this art. And so he's like, well, I guess Tim Scar's toast. I'll put it in the junkyard. And he painted my beautiful car in the junkyard.
That was when you actually had to run somewhere to make a phone call.
Yeah.
Yep.
Booster?
You're serious?
Yes.
But only the vultures.
Did you notice the tattoo foreshadowing on Maureen's? She's got a little bit of a vulture's tattoo, because it's like a big, spoilers, I won't say, in case you're playing this game and you don't know. But there's some foreshadowing right there.
By the way, I had somebody contact me a couple months ago asking for the definitive version of the vulture's tattoo because she was going to get. Oh my god!
Wow.
And I was feeling terrible because she's going to ink it on her, and I'm like, I don't know. There's the pixelated version, but it's so messed up. And then there's a sketch that I have, but it's not the final one because I think trying to translate it to pixels and then shrinking it down, a lot of that didn't read. So I'm trying to figure out. Oh, I don't know what to tell her, which is the official one, because it's kind of. I just sent her a bunch of stuff and said, take your best guess. I don't know.
One of the really fun things about sound design for this game is Michael and Peter and I would occasionally have lunch with Gary Rydstrom, who was a sound designer up at Lucasfilm and Skywalker Sound, and he did the sound for Titanic and Jurassic Park and Saving Private Ryan. Come on, this is one of the very top sound designers in the world, and just having conversations with him, that's when we decided to really record a lot of the sounds originally. Go out in the field with mobile recording rigs and then also combining things creatively. People all talk about it today, but back then it was a little bit new, I think, in the games industry, to say, combine the lion roar with the kickstart of the bike, for example.
Yeah, this is definitely the first game we did it on, because playing Dot recently, I was like, I think these all came off a CD. I think all the sound effects in Dot, there's a lot of like
we
from
were lucky to even
a cartoon sound effects
those.
library, and then immediately with Throttle, it's like you started the bees in the jar.
Oh yeah.
I always talk about the bees in the jar because I always thought that was so funny that you got 4 motorcycle sounds out of the 4 different motorcycle tribes and the gangs in the game. You had the bees in a jar that were slowed down a lot for the Rottweilers and sped up a lot for the cavefish.
Yeah.
So do you remember the components of Ben's bike?
Well, Ben's, we hired a biker from San Francisco who had a Harley chopper.
Very customized.
Very not painted. It was all just sort of nickel colored and straight pipes, which basically were like cannons going off every stroke. And there's just so many stories about that whole recording session.
Used to set off car alarms in his neighborhood when he drove through it.
Set off car alarms, and he was the real deal too. I mean, he had a couple bikes, but he brought that one up to Marin, and we had a whole long recording session, and that ended up being Ben's bike.
Wait, I want to hear about how you got the bees in the jar.
Oh, I think that was a library
That
sound.
actually was a library sound, but we used a lot of
I thought you captured all the bees. It must have taken all day.
Heard a lot.
I remember Gary Rydstrom came around and actually looked at the game when we were working on it.
That's right. He liked a couple things. Yeah, in fact, he complimented. I had looped a tiger growl and looped it for an element when the bike is just idling, and he goes, "Nice loop." That's one of the things you just.
But whatever, I thought there was a donkey bang and a
there were
jet engine and a line roar.
things,
So those are the other biker gangs, not Ben's bike?
In Ben's bike, the main thing was the lion when he kicks it over. The lion roar with the sound of a bike being kicked over. And then the purring. It was not a purr, but it's kind of like a throaty growl of the tiger for when it's just idling.
I feel like we were watching, started watching a lot of Hong Kong movies at this point, because there's a lot of that like reflection in the toaster, and you see the bad guys coming, is taken right out of either Hong Kong movies or Hard Target, which was the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. We saw right when we were making.
Also easier to animate the villain really small in a reflection.
Yeah, and wiggly in a toaster.
I wonder how many people say they use Hard Target.
Basically, this is Hard Target, the game. And
I think only 2 people were inspired by Hard Target: Van Damme and Tim.
What's that moving over there?
That's it. So
I remember we didn't want to talk about, at one point the schedule had slipped, but I didn't want to talk about how much because I was too scared to think about it. And you're like, do you want to know what the budget is? I was like, no. And I was like, what is it? No, what is it? It was like, it's $1 million. And it was and we had like gone from Monkey Island, which was, I think it was $200,000, and just had never conceived of money like that before. And like, this game it's the first one. It's like, it's $1 million.
You could only whisper the
I
amount.
remember breaking that mark and everybody talking about like, holy crap.
$1 million
I do.
game.
I remember spending countless hours just staring at the budget, where I'd like have to put in the actuals for the month, and then based off of that, project how the rest was going to change, and add more months and more dollars.
Joe, you remember the Scum Debug key?
The Scum Debug key. No. What was the Scum Debug key?
Wasn't it Control D or something? Matilda?
Oh, after Matilda?
You typed in like Control D Matilda on the keyboard, and they would turn on all the smart jump codes and all the.
Oh. I wonder if that shipped in the game.
It did.
It did? Yeah. Don't try that. Don't try that at home, kids. Control D, no what?
It's like Control D, and then you type in Matilda.
Control D, Matilda. Don't do it.
I remember for Casey, it was Tim Wrangler.
Tim Wrangler. But this wasn't, it was Grimm where you were like listed as pre-production.
I was the production manager on Full Throttle.
Okay.
Although I love the name of the title producer, I was really just.
Wait, who was the producer? Did we have?
Well,
we
Lucas
didn't have a producer.
Didn't have producers.
We had a project leader.
And actually, when we did have producers, I remember that didn't help so much because it would be somebody that was on like half time or less.
It was me and Wayne splitting all the projects down the middle.
As producer, you mean?
the very beginning, yeah.
Tucker can, if we still don't respect producers around here, still treat them like, right?
I'm Tim Wrangler now. Good work with that.
That's a more prestigious title than producer.
Velvet Underground just wouldn't have worked for this.
Oh yeah, so originally we were trying to get music. We were thinking about getting licensed music, and we talked to some record companies, and they offered us for free the entire catalog of the Velvet Underground,
which was such cool music.
Which is which we loved. But I was like, I don't know if this fits the biker theme.
But you gotta put.
And then also like the Clash was one of them offered to because they were shipping a box set of these things.
Yeah, I think the Clash was. But
and
they
then
were
what we wanted was we wanted Soundgarden. Or I wanted Soundgarden because they had a song called Kickstand.
Right.
And it's set in the Kickstand, and that song Kickstand was so perfect for it. So, shall I tell the story? We went down to L.A.
Yes.
Me and Jackson Morrison went down to L.A. to go to A&M Records to try and get them to give us. And we hadn't done any licensed music really at all, except for like Star Wars music. And we showed the game to them. We showed them the CS demo with the gas siphoning and stuff. And it was these young executives. They were like, "This is really cool. We really like it." And then like. The big guy showed up, and I think he was like either A or M.
I recall the story being Mr. M.
Mr. M came in, and he sat down, and the younger guy was like, "Okay, Tim, why don't you tell him all about the game?" And Mr. M was like, "No, I want to hear from you. Tell me why you thought this was a good idea." And so he was putting his own guy on the ringer, like, "Why'd you bring me in this meeting?" And we talked about it, and actually they were kind of into it until. When Jack was talking, they realized that we weren't going to pay them any money. We just wanted to get the song. We were trying to explain that it was going to be
exposure for them.
Yeah.